So I'm frequently asked to see somebody to provide dialectical behavioral therapy, or as it's better known as DBT. In this video, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what DBT is and help you decide if it is right for you. Dialectical behavioral therapy literally means multiple approaches. Its history is based on the treatment of personality disorders, but in the last several years has gone mainstream to including the treatment of anxiety disorders. So I began introducing this into my practice, helping those who were coming to see me who were suffering with anxiety, and I'm getting great results. I often think of DBT as CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy on steroids, because it takes in a number of approaches, including CBT, and ramps it up. Good physical self-care, cognitive behavioral concepts, mindfulness, distress tolerance, emotional regulation, and optimizing social situations. First component is good physical self-care. I will be putting out a YouTube in the coming weeks about why I always start with self-care with most of the clients that I work with. But for the DBT method, it does consider the basic physical self-care of sleeping, eating, exercise, and leisure, but also includes concepts of looking at removing any toxic substances or relationships from your life. The second part of a good DBT program will include CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy. I've already published a YouTube video on how I provide good CBT service to the clients I work with. I've developed a specialized change program which personalizes and specifies a CBT program for the clients that I work with. So I encourage you to look up that video. But as a quick review here, and as part of the DBT method, CBT concepts will help you anchor any negative or unrealistic thinking and put you back in the driver's seat for more realistic and specific types of thinking that will help you lead towards assertive action, including good decision making or productive communication, especially in conflict situations. Thirdly, DBT draws on mindfulness. It incorporates ideas of meditation. My own belief about the usefulness of meditation is that the purpose of it is to make the breath familiar, so that when we are in trigger situations or high conflict situations, we can find the breath more easily when we need it the very most. So it's about being present, it's about finding the breath, but in DBT we also include concepts around gratitude and self-compassion. Fourth part about DBT is improving distress tolerance. In DBT, we cover concepts such as radical acceptance, soothing, the power of distraction, and the power of mastery. The fifth part of any good DBT program focuses on the key purpose of the DBT program itself, which is emotional regulation. In this part, we begin to look at how to be self-aware of regulating the intensity of our emotional reactions, and helps us look for alternative ways to react that is opposite to how our wounded self wants us to react in the heat of the moment, which usually can lead, and most often does, to negative consequences or outcomes. And finally, the DBT can help us identify alternative explanations to high conflict or triggering situations, so that we can depersonalize the circumstances, which in and of itself can help us de-escalate the emotional experience that we're having. And the last part of the DBT program is about optimizing social situations where there is conflict or trigger. It helps us identify and practice using a neutral voice. It introduces concepts like clouding, so that we learn how to agree in part with the person we're having the conflict with. And it helps us find what's called an I want, you want ratio, so that it balances the situations that we find ourselves in that are difficult for us. Here's a couple of questions. Have you received a diagnosis of personality disorder? Are you struggling with ongoing anxiety? Have you completed a CBT program with a therapist, but it's not been effective or getting the results that you were looking for? And are you regularly troubled with finding ways to regulate your emotions in high conflict situations that are somehow working against you? Hope this video was helpful. Thanks for listening.